I spent majority of 2025 using 3 self-proclaimed experiments to gain muscle and lose fat, and I'm going to show you what went terribly wrong, but also what I did to eventually make it right in the end. Around December of last year, I decided to change up my whole workout routine, going from many years of traditional bodybuilding/powerlifting style to a more science-based, advanced lifter style called specialization volume. More in detail of what that is later on in the video. I can say for now that in short, all the exercises and the rep ranges, the number of sets per muscle group, all according to what the current science says, but also with a small twist. Something you can try when you've been working on for a longer time to keep it a bit fresh. After multiple hours of footage from back in January 2025 all the way to December, I'm going to show you what happened, the highs and the lows, and what you can do to not repeat the same mistake I did in 2026. With weeks of research beforehand, goal in sight, 1st of January is the day. We're starting out the biggest experiment I have done to myself this far. Nothing is gonna stop me. Motivation is on top. And I got sick. I had to push it a little bit. Yeah. So, the 6th of January is the day. With a strength test, I did choose one exercise for each muscle group to see how strong I am. And then we checked these exercises again after 6 months to see if this experiment was a success or a failure. Here is what I look like. Yeah, I know, beautiful, right? 100% natty and dad, but I think, or what? On the snowy roads of Sweden, with a big load of protein pancakes, jam, peanut butter and cream in our system. Yeah, yes. Very healthy man I am. Our new chapter begins, on our way to the gym to see how strong we really are. We are starting out with our chest exercise, the bench. Ending on after a few warm-up sets on a 105 kilograms or around 231.5-ish pounds. For our back exercise, we did a deadlift for 145 kilograms /320 pounds roughly. The barbell overhead press for the shoulders. Solid 60 kilogram for 1 rep. I failed the 70 kilos. Finished on 65 kilograms or 143 pounds. Squats for the legs, did a 105 kilograms or 231.5 pounds. For triceps, close grip Smith machine bench press with 81.8 to 86.3 kilograms roughly, or 180 to 190 pounds. It's hard to tell exactly because of all the difference in the weight of the bar on different Smith machines. Rounding it all up with a competition biceps curls with an easy bar. 46 kilograms or 101 pounds. No face needed apparently. Probably looked exhausted. After the strength test I was cooked. Maybe some aftermath of my recent sickness. I took a scheduled rest of the week off. 13th of January is the day. So let's start going through what happened, the structure of this experiment, the plan to success, and then we can go through all the bad stuff that happened along the way, and also what we can learn from this. You can check the bottom left corner to see which month we are in the timeline as we're going through the video. The setup from the beginning, I was to do a 6-month transformation while eating healthy, no cheat meals, nothing. And also tracking my weight and all of that along the way. And also the traditional stuff, you know, like lose as much fat and gain as much muscle as possible. The workout plan was going from a mix and match, like bro splits, powerlifting workouts, like I did before, to a push-pull legs ×2 for a number of 6 out of 7 days a week workout plan, using only S-tier exercises and sometimes A-tier exercises, you know, what is according to science. You know, you're learning along the way and switching it up if I felt like it was too much. You know, you didn't go so well and so on. To avoid repetition, I have removed most of the parts in the video where I did the same thing all over again in the video, because mostly on push-pull legs days you're kind of still doing the same exercises. Now for the twist I spoke of before. Every month I trained one muscle group 30% more than the other ones, while lowering the max amount of sets on the other ones, and the next month I switched it to another muscle group. For example, in February I chose shoulders for my max amount of sets per week. According to science, which is 25 sets, I did 25 sets of shoulders per week. While doing 30% less of max amount of sets for back, for example, I did 22 sets out of 30 sets, which is max per week for that month. In March, I chose back to be the muscle group I did more of, which means 30 sets of back per week. You probably get the idea. 6 months, 6 different focused muscle groups. And for reference, this is the table I used during these 6 months. I must admit, sometimes I did do some quote not good exercises. Personally don't like doing hip thrust with a barbell or Smith machine or even on most hip thrust machines because I don't get it. Yeah, I feel like it's not made for my legs to torso ratio. So I actually like to do them like I do in this clip on the leg extension machine. In January and February for legs I included both leg press and squats, and that is not wrong if you prefer to do that, but I felt it was a bit too much some days, so I removed the leg press exercise in March forward. This bench press with hands outside the rings on the Smith machine, it gives a good stretch and I like to switching up sometimes. I did about 30 minutes of cardio 4 to 5 times a week, you know, doing jump rope, stationary bike. In May and June is where the weird stuff happened. I started doing some wild stuff like Janicki flies shown here, big stretch, really recommend. And this exercise I found in a reel on Instagram, the Carter extensions, incline barbell bench with a quarter pumps, go all the way down, go up for a quarter to a third of a rep, and then explode up. Sorry for the lack of April footage, I simply didn't record anything that month because, you know, most of these 6 months are more or less the same. I also came up with this snake sets variation, I called it. Also called the reverse pyramid / inverted sequencing, but I thought snake sets sounded cooler. So, what are snake sets? It's a variation of a triple set. First you do exercise 1, then you do exercise 2, and then the third, and that's the first set. Then on set 2, you do exercise 3 again, and then you do exercise 2, and then to last exercise 1. On the third set, you do it like you did it on the first set. Shown here, I did a lateral raise into a dumbbell flies into a tricep dumbbell extension. And after that in reverse. I also did it for legs, dumbbell Romanian deadlift into Bulgarian split squats into walking lunges. I did some dumbbell incline bench with a bounce. You go down like a regular and then you quote unquote bounce it by just go a bit back up and then go back down again, going past the point you stopped at before. And I did the same with dumbbell flies. I feel like in June I was very confident, felt really strong in all the lifts, started incorporating all the exercises from the strength test in January back into the workouts. And during my workouts I did hit new PRs in those, but it didn't matter until the 6 months were done for, of course. Most of the workouts, as mentioned before, became very same of the same. I started supersets more when I could, and I tried to keep it fresh while still doing what I was supposed to do. Now we are in July, the last strength test. Let's see. I even mic'd up, but the sound turned out horrible. So my apologies, but I won't give you the pleasure of distorted audio this time. Starting off like we did last time, we did the bench, did some warm-ups, and then boom. Ended on a 110 kilograms, or 242 pounds-ish. I remember it felt a bit easy in the way that I could have done more, but I didn't want to risk it. We have already made an increase, so that's a win. Next up, the overhead press. I failed on the 70 kilograms, but I made another win on the minor increase to a 67.5 or 148 in pounds. For squats, I felt a bit scared, unfortunately, going higher, but ended on a 112.5 kilograms or 248 pounds. Around this time I felt really smoked, but I had to see it through. The deadlifts I ended up on a 150 kilograms for also then a 330-ish pounds. So yeah, go me, I guess. And I unfortunately failed on the 155 kilograms. Huge increase for the close grip bench on the triceps, ending up on a at least 10 kilogram increase, resulting in a total of 97 to a 101 kilograms, or 213 to 222 pounds. Last up, we finished up the strength test like last time with competition curls, struggling away up from a start of 32 to a 42 to a 55, failed the 62 and the 57.5, but we did make the 54.5 kilograms. And to summarize, this is the numbers from January, numbers from July. Looking back, I should have had more rest or even done these exercises on separate days. Of course, my energy levels on the first exercise were a bit higher than when I did the last one. Starting out with a weight of 99.1 kilograms, which is around 218 pounds, I ended after 6 months on 99.6. That is half a kilo, or roughly a pound and a half in 6 months. Ending my 6 months with a body that looked like this, I was happy to be done with the 6-month experiment, but also very disappointed. I thought I would have lost more weight, I felt like. We're now in the summer, and I was so sure of what I was doing, and I had anticipated better results. So, mistakes were made, and at the time, I didn't know. Looking back now, I do know, and maybe you do too. I have not shown one very important aspect when it comes to fitness, working out and body transformation and so on. I will give you a few extra seconds to think about it though. It will be our little secret until the time is right. Later on in the video when we reveal it for everyone else. We are still in July. There are too many months in a year, but we will rapid fire the next ones, I promise. At this time, I had a trip to Portugal coming up in August, where one of the main points of the trip was that I was going to try out surfing. I have done the year before, but it did not go so well. So I thought, let's do another experiment. I'm going to train as optimally as possible to become a better surfer in 1 month. I know this stuff takes time, but I wanted to try and see if I could go from a total failure the last time before only getting up on the board once to maybe this time I couldn't come up on the board maybe 2 times. That's a reasonable goal, right? So I did my research, found out that to become better at surfing, you need to have great mobility, functional strength, balance, and a strong core. You also need to do a lot of cardio, like treadmill, stairmaster, and jump rope, doing exercises like body weight lunges, a lot of ab work. The workouts consisted of a lot of stretching before and after, with regular gym exercises like the face pull, overhead carries with kettlebells into deficit push-ups, regular dips, and also some mobility exercises like this, where you are flat on the ground actually paddling like you would have on a surfboard, CrossFit sequences. We did warm-ups with a bar, starting off with an elbow upright row. We did some front squats for the legs and core. We did some muscle cleans, some standing power cleans, and eventually doing it all together into a clean and jerk for as many reps as possible, for as many sets as possible. A month later, it's August, we arrived in Ericeira, Portugal. The view from the balcony was amazing. There was a great beach nearby, amazing food, like this steak and eggs sandwich with a side of delicious hummus. The egg benedict sandwich for brunch the day later. Found this outdoor gym with a great view of the ocean. It had some great equipment and then some not so great, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. You could also see the beach where we were going to surf. Here is the shack with all the surfboards and equipment from the beach shown before. This was one place. For one of the days, we went surfing for a few hours. And this is the other surf hub on the other side of the town of Ericeira, and the second beach we surfed at. I have unfortunately no footage from the actual surfing from both places because we had to leave all our stuff at the renting place, but I can assure you that I in fact failed horribly and did not get up on the board once for the entire Portugal trip. It was still fun swimming around in the cold ocean though, I guess. We also made it to the nearby must-go-and-see place called Sintra. This is the view from the restaurant. We decided to go up all the way up to the nearby mountain to see an old fortress, which took almost about an hour uphill. You could see all the way down to where we started in the town square. But also, listen to this.
You went far, that's what I told you. I was like, is that your 5 minutes?
From the foot of the mountain path, we started to hear this sound from a musician of the forest. Back in Ericeira, finally visiting the only proper gym they have in town, of what we could find at least. It's called Cool Gym, and it had all the necessities like a reception with a smoothie bar, upstairs area for classes, a few paddle courts, and then some regular gym equipment like bikes, treadmills, etc. Definitely a must-go-to place for the gym people out here visiting Ericeira. I guess because it's the only place to go to? I don't know. End of the line, Lisbon, at Time Out Market. Loads and loads of people. If you can make do with the amount of people, you will find loads and loads of different foods and treats. Like these American donuts and eclair. I probably butchered the name there, and the traditional pastel de nata. Strolling around the town for the last days, found this cool place which only served French fries with different kind of sauces and toppings. At night, found this ramen place going heavily on the anime theme. My childish side and inner teen was very excited to see all the Naruto, One Piece, and especially Dragon Ball posters and figurines. Hey, wake up. Are you still there? This is not a food and or travel video. Why is he even showing me all of this? This is a waste of time. Take it easy. Full context is everything, my friend. Remember what I asked you to do before? What have been the consistent mistake from January and now until August? The one thing we have been missing. The one mistake to rule them all. Okay, so after my Portugal trip, I decided after a talk with a few of my work colleagues, in August I tried out a calorie tracking app and I tracked for a few weeks, and I noticed while eating healthy during the first 6 months of the year how the amount of calories all ended up. So I'm going to show you the app. I'm going to show you what I tracked from back in mid-August. I use an app called Foodvisor. I'm going to show you how it is. There are plenty of good ones out there. I stumbled upon this one and I kept at it. It's in Swedish, but bear with me. I'm going to show you. In the top left corner, you can see how much calories you've eaten that day, how much your streak. You can see on my streak, I've been doing this for 123 days by now. You can see how much calories you've been over your limit. But also, if you go down the columns, I've done them myself. I'm going down to my profile. You can see there's my name and then how much. It says now I want to gain weight because I have, you can see on the right, you can see how much kilos I want to be at and the amount of kilos I am at and what I started with. So this calories per day does not really go with you when you change the amounts you're going to have for like the week or for this session, so to say. So here you can see 2,600, 2,200, 2,800, 2,200, 3,200, 2,800, 1,700. So in summary, you can say that I went everywhere from 1,700 up to a total of 3,200 calories. And it just really shows how far off you can be just because you're eating healthy. All the grams up and down can really make a difference if you think about it. And this is the amount I ate during the 6 months of my first experiment. September to December, the great lock-in, I heard someone call it. This time with a caloric deficit. The third experiment in my transformation journey of 2025. Tracking my food and body weight in the app I showed you, and I also wrote it down in my notes on my phone. I did the math. I did 2 months in a 20% less calories than my maintenance calories. When I saw it started to stagnate over a few weeks, I dropped the caloric goal down even more. During this, I tried some new training splits. I don't know what it's called, but I saw in a video they called it something fancy like the modern version of push-pull legs, where you do biceps and chest together on one day, then legs and shoulders the next day, and on the third day you do back and triceps. I tried doing upper lower for 6 days a week. I felt like it was a bit too much for me, probably because of the caloric deficit. Then I did upper lower 4 days a week, adding more rest to the mix. I felt like it was a bit too low. Then I tried my own built version of upper lower and push-pull legs for 5 days of workouts per week, inspired by Jeff Nippard. Did that for a while until I switched again to another self-made program of upper lower 4 days a week with an arm day at the end of the week for a total of 5 workouts per week, again also inspired by Jeff Nippard. I didn't actually do that much cardio during these last months, to be honest, but I feel like it turned out fine. Here's a screenshot from my notes on my phone. Slowly but surely losing fat, keeping my strength and muscles. And this cut ended on the 21st of December 2025, just in time for the holidays. For a total of 16 weeks and almost 13 kilograms, or roughly 29 pounds down. I guess we ended up missing some footage from both April and November and December, I guess. But as you can see, even though you're still eating healthy, you can still be in a surplus. It all adds up. I've been working out for 15 years at this point, and I have been bigger in some parts of those years, and I've also been leaner than I am now. Probably also being leaner, I have lost a lot of muscles during the process, during these cuts. I must admit, I've gained a bit more weight in the almost 2 weeks after this, but we will get around to shredding it again, hopefully soon. So, what did I learn from 2025? Even though after 15 years of working out, also eating healthy, you can still go up and down, again and again. It took me 8 months of the year, that is 2/3 of it, to realize I have done a big mistake. The year of realization, I called it. But we gotta remember, cardio is great. Agree to disagree, depending on who you are. Some of you probably are skipping your cardio. It is very important. Lifting and working out is great. Food is great. But sometimes you have to restrain yourself. Remember to train hard, eat well, and then if you can, track it as well. Calories in, calories out, you know the deal. It is worth the extra time each day to put it in your tracker. Trust me. You can say that this year I gained knowledge and a very big caffeine addiction. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I know this was a long one and a bit all over the place, but I wanted to do like a year in review style as my first video with full context and to show my mistakes, what you should do to not do the same like I did in 2026. And of course, like all mistakes, you can always right them. Hope you've had an amazing 2025 with a big focus on the new one. Give the video a like and subscribe if you want to see more. If you have any feedback, leave it in the comments and stay tuned for the next video. Take care.